round of applause.
You guys look good. It's too hot. I cannot put on the jacket. It's okay.
Alright, I think without further ado, we'll probably kick off the second session and a nice bow tie. Okay, this is a chat room for asking questions. Can we keep compliments later on afterwards? Alright, without further ado, on my left hand side we have Nisaa, our former president of YSF as well. Give a big round of applause for Nisaa. We have Alex, who was with YSF last year as well. Alex. We have Faiz Zailani here on my closer left. And we have Faris, who is here to join us for this afternoon session number 2 on genetic engineering, where we'll be focusing more on super babies. I'm sure people will ask what is super baby or what are super babies later on. Yeah, without further ado, we shall start. I'll open up the chat room in a bit, but you can pause your questions there. I will be able to see the questions and ask this gentleman and this lady here about what you're asking. So we see this photo here, which is going to go away in a little bit. Okay, and a lot of these photos are just pictures describing about what is possible nowadays, gene editing. All of these 4 students do biology, do A-level biology, and I'm sure there are crowds here who don't do biology. Do you want to share with them about what you know about this genetic engineering, gene editing thing? Anyone?
Okay. So, in our body we have DNA, and DNA codes for everything. Who you are is because of your DNA. So now with new technology, we can cut open the DNA and put bits of genes in it, so that it codes for different things. Sometimes it could be immunities to a disease, other times it could be other features, and mostly it's done with babies, because they still have yet to develop.
Ooh, someone's already started the questions. Genetically modification isn't supposed to be a bad thing. It's not supposed to be bad, it's supposed to be good. What do you think, Nisaa? I think you need to be a bit louder. There were a few people who said they hear echoes at the back, so perhaps you need to be a little bit louder.
Can you guys hear me?
Do you need a genetically altered voice? Do you want to be able to edit your voice box so that it's louder and can produce higher pitch sound?
Okay, I tried. Okay.
Nah, that's fine. I was just kidding.
So what was the question?
Sorry? The question was that genetic modification isn't supposed to be a bad thing. It's supposed to be good and beneficial. What are your opinions on that? As in, they think that it's good. Do you think so?
Yeah, because from what I read, so a couple might need a new baby so that that baby can donate a bone marrow or blood to the couple's 6 siblings, 6 children.
Sorry, I forgot to do this just now.
So
does someone want to help her out? She's probably a bit lost for words. What do you think, Faiz?
I'll pick my opinions on genetic technology.
On genetic editing, I think that was the question. Yeah, but basically genetic engineering is being able to edit your genes.
Well, in my opinion, genetic engineering is, in my opinion, it kind of benefits us as a human race. We could edit some parts of the DNA to code for certain functions or proteins, which could benefit us as a whole. For example, for now, there might not be a true cure for cancer. It's still happening. But what if we prevent cancer before it even happens. Like, for example, in a DNA, the sequence of the bases codes for the cause of cancer. And what genetic technology could do, they could remove these genes that cause cancer. And there are lots of other things that genetic technology can do, and I believe it might benefit us up to a point.
Anyway, continue the discussion, Faris. What else do you agree on what Faiz said just now?
Well, genetic engineering in general is not specifically limited to humans. So like all things in life, there are pros and cons. One of the pros of genetic engineering is genetically modified organisms. Like the crops that we use nowadays, mostly they have been genetically modified so that they can resist certain diseases and pests. This helps some countries to increase their crop yield so they can feed more people.
Didn't we do that with our lila rice as well? Like is that considered genetic modification? Like they have lila rice, and I think they introduced a new variety of rice recently. They say it's better and higher yield and can do it's better. Is that genetic engineering?
Technically, it is a type of genetic engineering. But the lila rice, I think the way they modify the lila rice is they take two types of rice, and then they choose the traits that they want. For example, high nutrition in one type of rice and high like resistance in another type of rice. Then they breed the two types of rice together to get a type of rice that is both nutritious and resistant to diseases.
Well, Alex, I mean, he has explained a lot on genetically modified crops. But going back to our main topic, which is on super babies, I'm sure they are very interested. And someone actually asked, can we do it in Brunei? I mean, not just in Brunei. Is it legal in general? Is it legal to edit human genes in general?
Well, for scientific study on humans, especially such as babies, they are following a set of rules which scientists must follow. And for example, if some scientists don't follow these sets of rules, there might be some fines with it, and which is why most scientists should follow these sets of rules which uses babies and humans as test subjects, but not babies as in real life babies, but more like embryo or fetus before it is even born as a baby.
My personal stand on this will be, it should be fully legal. Like, if we make it illegal, people will misuse this ability. So if it is legalized, in my opinion, it should be checked under so that it isn't used for any bad intentions. It's mostly to keep things good. Imagine if North Korea got hold of all this technology and would force these people to study genetic engineering. They would create an army of superhumans.
But now we are talking about genetic engineering in the context of military usage then. So is that what you're saying? Like it can lead to destructive things?
Yes, in a way it can.
But you said you fully agree that it should be legalized?
It should be supervised.
It should be supervised. It should be supervised. That was what you said. Supervised. What do you actually mean by supervised? I mean, how do you? I mean, like open learning that we talked about just now. You can advise people not to do certain things, but what if people decide to do it? What can you do? I mean, if I decide to edit my gene right now and become a better version of it, version 2.0, and then what can you do to prevent me from doing that? Any opinions?
It could close down their labs, which performs this illegal type of experiments, or maybe bring them to court or hold them under investigation for their own.
You should probably read some of the comments. Well, not comments, some of the questions. Interesting questions. Perhaps you guys want to share your opinion on any of the questions? Go on, the floor is yours. This forum is for you too.
About genetically modifying our IQ, well, about that, I think it might be too late. Like, what we can do is genetically modify something that has not become human, as scientists agree on. Like, we can but sometimes IQ are not genetically determined. There are some other factors too. Even if we create some babies that are intelligent and whatnot, like, environment factors also play a main role. Like, for example, we created an intelligent baby, but we give them an environment where school education or learning is limited. Now, that might affect his IQ level. And besides that, IQ level is not considered towards in their lifetime. So,
I think what Faiz has said was really the nature versus nurture. Natural ability, which is what you have naturally. As in, if you read something now, there's I don't know, is reading a nature or a natural ability or a nurtured ability? What do you think, Faris?
Nurture ability.
It's a nurtured ability. So in a control experiment, if I put a baby in an environment where everyone cannot talk, will the baby be able to talk?
No.
And why is that?
Because in the beginning, a baby has absolutely no knowledge, and if it has no interaction with another person, there won't be any new information that it can learn.
So we can actually nurture knowledge. We can nurture ability. Is that what you're saying?
Partly.
So that brings to our debate really. I mean, Nisaa, you just came back from your eye issue. But yeah, that was what we were discussing about, like nature versus nurture. So in the world of super babies, genetically modified babies, where obviously it's not going to be cheap. I think a lot of good things don't come free in life, and it's probably going to be some of the upper class people who can afford it. And what will happen to those people who can't afford it? Wouldn't that create a society that is divided, where the rich get more superior, and then the people who can't afford it will get less superior, and that will create a bigger division in society? What's your opinion on that?
I think the world will have divisions, like class division.
I think you need to be a bit louder. Sorry about that.
I think the world will have a world division because of economy and because of social. Like, if someone can afford to produce super babies, well, the problems come. So that will create two different classes. And in terms of economy as well, the poor, of course, can't afford.
It's up to you whether you want to answer this kind of question.
Yes.
Well, continue answering the questions. I don't know, Alex, Faiz, there are a lot of questions. People have been asking about superhumans rather than normal human. I don't know. I mean, someone has asked, how does genetic engineering work? I mean, you have mentioned what genetic engineering is, where you can edit your gene. It's like copy and paste. You can find certain thing you want, and you can replace it, or you can remove it, remove the unwanted stuff. Remove those genes that are, we call them hereditary, like you inherit it from your parents, where you could have well, you look like your parents, but then we don't know, there might be certain genes that run in the family. You have higher exposure to diabetes, obesity, or poor eyesight, like the whole of my family members actually have to use glasses, so that could be a factor as well. And many things. I mean, So yeah, what are your opinions on that, Faris? Anything at all? Oh, come on, continue this discussion. There are a lot of questions to be answered, and we don't have all that.
There is one of the ways to genetically modify an organism. Well, there's this thing called CRISPR. Basically, when a virus attacks a bacteria cell,
I think
what
that's
they
CRISPR
did
there.
was the virus injects some of its genetic material and combines it with the DNA of the bacteria. What this will do normally will be like the bacteria will code for protein for the virus, and this protein might benefit the virus as the virus needs a host. In this case, it's bacteria. So,
Do you want to break it down into easier words for them to understand? I mean, I am not a biologist and I find that scary to look at. I mean, in a nutshell, well, what is CRISPR to you? I mean, what do you understand by CRISPR actually? Yeah, Alex seems to want to share something. Go on, Alex.
Okay. So CRISPR is something for bacteria. It's a way for them to defend against viruses. What we know about viruses are dead. They need a host to be alive. So what they do is viruses, they will take over the bacteria and they will inject some of their genetic material into the bacteria. So this genetic material is to make this protein that will enable this virus to live. So what CRISPR does is it removes this genetic material of the virus and replaces it with normal genetic material, so the virus can't live inside the bacteria and will eventually die out. The thing about this is, this thing is starting to be tested. Last year, they tested it with rats and HIV, and it was rather successful.
I mean, CRISPR is an emerging technology. It's probably not even in school textbook yet. It probably won't be until 20 years from now, until your children age. When it's their time to sit for A-level biology, perhaps then it will be in the syllabus. But I mean, as you can see, this is our real research paper output. So in terms of research output, it's an emerging technology. There are a lot of companies that have invested in this technology. So a new idea, and when big companies are willing to invest hundreds and hundreds of millions in it, you can bet that it's probably going to be the next big thing in the next decade or so. And I mean, there's a lot of benefits that some of us we have been talking about. Increased intelligence, that was what the audience was asking. Can we increase our intelligence in gene editing? Potentially yes, that was Faiz said, right? Potentially yes, but it would probably be better to do it from an earlier stage, from an embryonic stage. However, according to Faris, you could also nurture ability as well. So it's not just a matter of what genes you can put in to make it more, well, to increase your IQ, I suppose. You can inherit those genes that contribute to higher IQ. But I think that is also what Faris said about environment factors, and your interaction with people that can help to improve your ability. So definitely it's up for debate, the nature versus nurture. And then this CRISPR thing, which is a new thing, and it's really an emerging technology. It's really very big. I'm sure if you Google it, there'll be a lot of stuff on it. But yeah, it's just a piece of genetic engineering, isn't it? Yeah. But let's see what other questions are there from the floor. UBD, they clone bananas. Why not all plants? Any response to that? Is it just because we have a lot of bananas in Brunei? Is it because it's easier to clone bananas? I mean, what is cloning actually? What is cloning to you, Nisaa?
Making the same genetic material thing.
Are you telling me or are you asking me?
I'm telling you.
Oh, you're telling me? Oh, okay. So making the exact same replica. How does it work?
In plants and animals, there's slightly different processes. In plants, I believe it's slightly easier because we can just take some cells like the reproductive cells of the plant, and then we put them in a petri dish, and then we culture them. Then we can grow new plants. But like for in animals, they usually take the genetic material, the DNA from one animal, then they put it inside an egg, the egg cell, and then the egg cell that's fertilized by the animal, they put it inside a female animal so that the clone can grow. The original DNA is from for example, a sheep, and then the sheep, because it's from the original DNA, so the sheep will be genetically identical to the original sheep.
I'm flattered, by the way. But yeah, I mean, people have been asking about this exam pressure and very stressful and about this exam thing, you know. I personally don't think exam is a matter of intelligence. Exam is just a matter of, have you done enough work? Have you practiced enough? And are you prepared for it? So it all comes down to preparation and not just natural intelligence. So again, there's the nature versus nurture. It's just my personal opinion. I have no proof for it, but no, actually I have a proof for it. I'm a proof of hard work. I don't think I'm born naturally clever or smart, but that's just my opinion on things. So I hope that answers that question. Yes, you can be as smart as you want to be if you put in enough work. And if you're willing to ask the right questions. It's always asking the right questions. I think science is about asking the right kind of questions. If you stop questioning things, if you just accept things, then that's where learning stops, really. You learn only because you want to keep on questioning yourself. Well, more questions from the floor. Is it legal, Alex?
Right now, genetic engineering is legal and is being researched for.
Is it legal in Brunei?
Currently there are no laws regarding genetic engineering in Brunei.
The only bit of genetic engineering in Brunei is in rice. There is genetic engineering in rice.
Genetic engineering specifically for humans, there's no rules and regulations that have been set by the government yet because it is a fairly new technology.
Can we keep the question professional? Thank you, guys.
What did I do?
But yeah, I should probably lead this discussion further to avoid digressing from the main issue at hand. I mean, in a world, imagine a world where we can create super babies. So Nisaa already answered, well, Nisaa kind of tackled the issue about the division. Yes, we will have a greater division in society if we have the rich getting more superior and the poor getting, well, the poor as in people who cannot afford this kind of thing. They will be at a disadvantage when you compare to it. So Nisaa, should this technology be available? Should we make it freely available to everyone regardless of whether they are rich and can afford it or not? Or should we just, I mean, as in, if you own the technology, how much will you charge for it? How much will you charge a parent for doing one-time genetic modification? If you own the technology, how much do you think you want to charge a parent? Remember, this is your years of hard work, right? You have discovered this technology and stuff. How much will you charge a parent for it? What do you think is an appropriate price to create someone who is better? Version 2.0.
Millions, maybe?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you.
Can you repeat the question?
How much would you charge? You own the technology. You can create a super baby. How much will you charge? Let's say me, I want to have a baby. How much will you charge me to create a super baby?
Billions of dollars.
Can you justify that? I mean, billions is a lot of money. I mean, can you justify that? I mean, my original question was actually about, should we make this freely available to everyone? Or should it just be exclusive to people who can afford it? Let's say people can afford it. Yes, Faiz?
Well, if it was me, I would make it around, it is free to only only to certain people, like to certain stage of community. Like, if we made it available to all, that means we're creating. If we make it freely available, that means we might not get some profit out of it, because we may need some profit out of this technology to improve it and improve the technology as itself, and also improve the quality of the genetically mutated organism produced by them. So, is there?
Yeah, and I think there's a very interesting question. I mean, what happens when the thing that you ordered, I suppose, the thing that you ordered didn't go as you wanted? It's like plastic surgery. I mean, you first do your nose, then you do your mouth, then you say not perfect enough. You want to do this, you want to do that, you want to do that. What if you say this time, I want this baby to be healthy, so I will remove the hereditary genes that can cause cancer, can cause obesity and stuff. Then after you produce the embryo 14 days, then you decide, no, I want this baby to have this and that. And then after one more time, then you say, I want more and more and more and more. What do we do with the one that we created before that? Is it fair then? I mean, what was the question? I forgot already. Yeah, I mean, what will happen to it? What will happen to those things that are unwanted because of certain imperfect features? I mean, we are never perfect, but what do you think on that, Alex?
Okay. Some babies are produced by a process called in vitro fertilization. In vitro is just a really fancy way of saying glass. So it's called in vitro fertilization is because it is produced when an egg and a sperm cell react inside sometimes a test tube or sometimes a petri dish. What happens is, when the embryo grows, they will take out a cell and look for example if it has disease. If it has disease, this embryo will be removed. Since it's not an actual baby, it's not really wrong.
I don't know, you just pick up.
Yeah. Just pick the next one. Yeah.
I'll probably have to hide the chat room for a while because people have been a bit wild with their questions. let me keep it on track, on focus. I mean, superhumans, super babies. I mean, if they grow up in a poor, in a less than ideal environment, imagine what if, Faris, that everyone has increased intelligence. Okay, I'm not talking about the division between the rich and the poor. I'm saying that everyone, literally everyone, if everyone can make super babies, if everyone can have super babies, would they be ranking among the super babies? Would they be different in any sense? Would everyone just be the same, identical, clones, in terms of intelligence?
I think that that would be the ideal future. For example, like bees, there are queen bees and the worker bees. All the worker bees are equal. They come from one source, and they all cooperate and work together to achieve a higher goal. So, like in the future, if everyone is equal, we could achieve more and work to a common goal. But this would mean that it will eliminate talent and everyone is the same. So no one would stand out, nothing to make us individuals special.
Can't say I agree more with you. I mean, there was a question from the floor asking my professional opinion, well, asking my personal opinion, not professional, asking my personal opinion on whether we should legalize it or not. I mean, personally, I don't think we should, but I mean, for research purpose, I do believe that in terms of science, you have to allow research to continue. If you start to confine people like, oh, you cannot research that, then how would you expect progress and development if you restrict people's hands in terms of what they can research and cannot research? But there's always people who will try to monopolize on discoveries, who will try to profit from new emerging technology. It tends to be the rich people. Can't blame them, they have the resources. They tend to be the people who fund, who continue to provide money for this kind of research. But I think for research purpose, yes, I agree, but not for natural, not for creating babies. Because I mean, nature happens by chance. That is natural selection. I'm sure the biologists know that. Natural selection is just, you don't get to choose. Nature chooses for you. It's random. It's probability. Just like the probability of either having a boy or a girl is determined randomly. You have a 50-50% chance. Although I'm sure that you might have heard superstitions like if you eat certain things, that you are more likely to get a boy or something. But for me, they are just superstitions. It's just my personal opinion. Anyway, I think it's probably time to go back to this thing. Oh, we have a lot of interesting questions. Nisaa seems to want to address the issues of negative impacts of this genetic engineering thing. So we've been talking about you can eradicate disease, you can potentially have a super ability, well, enhanced ability, increased ability, I suppose, a better version. But beside from what I said, beside the ethical issues, I mean, the ethical issues for me was just the defying the natural order of things. But what else can you see? What else could happen that could go wrong with this in the long run? If we're able to implement it full scale, let's say you are 30 years old already, this CRISPR technology has already matured enough that it can be used anytime. In fact, in Brunei as well. So, what do you see could go wrong?
The CRISPR that was introduced a few years ago is still new, so we don't really know the side effects to it.
Side effects. What kind of side effects do you foresee that could happen? Someone's asking about attitude. Yeah, when you yeah, that was a very good question. Attitude. You know how we grow up with personality and attitude. Some of us are more hardworking than others. Some of us are lazier than others. Some of us love to talk more than others. Some of us are more introvert than others. So, how would you think this genetic engineering would that affect attitude? Would that affect someone's positivity, outlook towards life? Basically, what do you call that? In character. Yeah, would it affect character rather than just cognitive? Cognitive means to do with the brain. So that thing maybe I can help you with the genes. But in terms of character, what can you say? Do you have any opinion on that?
I remember an article that I read. A gene can control our character and also the way of our thinking. For example, a gene can control both of our anger management as well as our intelligence. So that gene makes a child to be smarter, but it can also make the child to be bad tempered.
Well, there's also one thing, like maybe we could change the production of hormone for the baby. Like maybe increase production of the hormone that makes us happy, or maybe decrease the production that makes us sad, or those kind of stuff. We can control their emotions based on the production of the hormones, but this does not necessarily mean that they will control their personality.
Well, you know about hormones, right? It's supposed to be balanced in a normal human being. The moment you have a lot more hormones in someone's body, one kind of hormone, it could lead to drastic changes.
Yeah, what if we change the way the body reacts to different levels of hormones?
Is that possible?
It might be possible.
With genetic engineering?
Yes.
In what sense do you think it's possible?
Control like how much of this concentration of hormone should be available in the blood, and for how long should it be in the blood, and those balance can be changed if we change how the genes work, I assume.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Faris, what else do you have to add to what Nisaa said just now? What did you say just now, Nisaa? Negative impacts, right? What did you say just now?
The the side effect of CRISPR.
Long-term side effects. And do you foresee any other issues, Faris?
Well, DNA is very complex. When we change a gene,
Life is complex.
if we change, if we change a gene inside the DNA, it can cause the desired effect, but it can also cause an undesired outcome. For example, I recently read that
This one banyak likes dah.
dung beetles
Yes, right.
specifically,
Just answer.
they have a horn, and then recently scientists they experimented on the dung beetles, and they disabled the gene that codes for the horn, and then in that group only one species, when they disabled the gene that codes for the horn, instead of losing a horn, they also grow an eye. So when we change the DNA of an organism, certain things that we might not expect can happen, because out of all the dung beetles, there's only one species of dung beetles that when we disable the gene, they would grow an eye.
I realized that there's a question about cloning for humans. Currently, we are not allowed to conduct cloning on humans because it's considered to be not morally acceptable and unethical. But there is some cloning happens in dogs in South Korea, if I remember correctly.
So if you can clone animals, you can clone humans, potentially.
No, because it's still in the experimental stages, because currently the clone animal, they don't reach the full life expectancy. For example, a dog, I believe it lives around 15 years. And then like a clone animal won't reach 15 years, it would only like live 2 or 3 years max, and then it would die.
Continuing what Faris has said and what Nisaa has said. Nisaa has mentioned about potential long-term side effects of genetic engineering. Faris has just mentioned that clones tend to survive significantly lesser number of full years, compared with the parent species. Do you see shorter number of lifespan as a potential side effect in genetic engineering? Is that a potential side effect of engineering? Do you know anything about it? I mean, is genetic engineering cloning? Or the other one, is cloning genetic engineering? I'm sorry to confuse you, but he was talking about clone. We are talking about genetic engineering. Is a clone a result of genetic engineering?
Yes, it is.
Do you care to comment on the long-term side effect that you mentioned and the shorter lifespan that Faris has mentioned about clones? And it's not just dogs. If people had known about the history of sciences, you would know that Dolly the sheep, am I correct? Is it called Dolly?
Yeah.
Dolly the sheep was the first ever cloned animal in Nottingham in the UK, I think, many years back. I think they got 4 clones. 1 died very early, and 3 dies later. They live significantly longer, but like Faris said, still shorter than the entire lifespan of a sheep. What do you have to say? Nisaa or Alex, do you have anything to add?
Some questions asked about playing.
Nothing? Alex? Do you know anything about long-term side effects besides what Nisaa was suggesting? But do you know of any long-term effects of genetic engineering?
Continuing from what Nisaa said about CRISPR, another possible side effect is it may change the whole gene pool. So that means your children could not even look like you, because you're inserting something foreign into something you already have. It could cause that effect.
How about if you are not inserting things, you are just removing things? So you say you're adding a foreign substance, a foreign gene to help enhance the ability or whatever it is. But what if you are not removing, or what if you are not adding something or replacing something, but you are removing something, removing a gene, for example, a part of the gene?
Even if we remove a part of a gene, it will still be different because it would code for something sometimes entirely different. So it could cause some changes.
Someone was actually asking, should this be, okay, this is a general question, I think. This is not addressed to you. What's your opinion, Alex? Should genetic engineering be introduced into life? Well, they were talking about cloning, and no one has answered my question yet. Did you answer? Is cloning genetic engineering? Yes. So UBD clone bananas. So UBD does genetic engineering. So is genetic engineering, should we extend the scale of it to be able to edit human genes in Brunei? Yeah. Would that be ethically accepted, considering our culture? And yeah, considering our culture. What's your opinion, Faris?
Well, as earlier stated, like genetic engineering is a fairly new technology. So when we use it, we should only use it for research purposes because currently we don't know the side effects and what dangers it can cause to humans. So like even if it is introduced to Brunei, it's only for like research and experimental purposes. And once Brunei and the world have a better idea of the genetic engineering, then we can finally start to test on humans if we consider it as safe. If not, we can just ignore it and just continue using it in other organisms.
I hope that answers some of the questions. We probably have just around 2 or 3 more minutes. Let's answer a few questions here. Oh, someone named Ustash Moon. Is it okay in terms of religion? Well, let's ask Nisaa. Need some time to think about it? Well, let me ask Faris first. I'll come back to you later, Nisaa. Faris, what's your opinion? Is it okay?
If it is safe, because as previously stated before, we haven't actually know the side effects yet. But for example, in the future, if we have figured out all the side effects, then it's completely safe. In my opinion, genetic engineering should be only used to cure like debilitating diseases. So like all those diseases caused by genes, but it should only be limited to that. The genetic engineering, we shouldn't use it for like cosmetic purposes. So like we cure the babies from getting diseases, but we won't make the babies superior to other people by making them more beautiful or more strong.
Yes. So that's the ground that you are standing on. Okay, what do you think, Nisaa? So Faris has said that, okay, we will just remove the things that make life less normal for people who have disabilities as a result of their genes, and nothing more. What do you think?
In vitro fertilization, the undesired alleles in the embryo is removed. This is considered as abortion. So abortion is not allowed in some religion. So I don't think it is something that we want to implement.
So Nisaa is standing her ground that she doesn't agree at it. She doesn't agree at all because it constitutes abortion, and abortion is not allowed in some religions. Anyway, let's leave it there. Well, let me see if I can answer just one more question before we call it a day. Is there any pills to be consumed that can lead to change our own genes? Alex, I leave you this one. Is there anything? Can you just eat something and then your genes get modified? Or Faiz, what do you think? Faiz or Alex?
There is no specific things you can actually eat to change your genes, but some foods could cause mutation in genes, causing them to be different. But it's not really genetic engineering.
Like an example of substances like that could potentially cause changes in our genes are basically carcinogens. Those kind of stuff available in cigarettes, and what they do is they will change the genetic makeup of some genes. It could change it, and when this happens, it could lead to severe effects such as cancer and basically the rapid growth of cells due to this change in the sequence of the DNA.
Yeah, I think that's probably all the time we have. But there was a question on immortality there. I think that if you can edit genes, you can extend lifespan, but our bodies naturally will wear down. Didn't you see that a lot of problems among elderly people is a result of us living longer? People in the past don't really develop cancer or whatever because they probably live until 30 years old. It's too early for the onset of chronic diseases like cancer or cardio disease or whatever, because they don't live long enough. But obviously with the development of medicine and with genetic engineering, things have improved. I mean, our lifestyle has improved, our lifespan has been extended, but no, I don't think we can get immortality. At least not with a lifespan. I think that's all the time we have. I'm sorry we couldn't answer all the questions. That's probably it for today. Thank you, Faris. Give a round of applause for Faris. Thank you. Thank you, Faiz. Thank you, Alex. And thank you, Nisaa, who didn't feel very well today, unfortunately. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for participating in a lively afternoon. That's it for today. Thank you. We will just have a quick certificate presentation by Cikgu Rosie for the participants of session 1 and session 2, as well as the media team who has helped us recorded this talk show so that it will be freely available for everyone who has to miss it. Thank you, Joshua, as the head of media. Thank you, FATIN, and thank you, Farhan. And thank you, Farhan. All right, please, Cikgu Rosie, so that we can finish on time. Thank you. Can we welcome the 4 participants from session 1 to the stage? Let's see, first off, where's a good spot to take a photo for the certs? It's up to the media team. Oh, okay, maybe a group photo first. Group photo first.